Welcome to the Reddit Chronicles. Today we will be reading from Today I Effed Up. Our first post is by Old Mama Speaks. Today I effed up the first day back to school. I have a high school senior that I have to drive to school. It takes about 20 minutes to get him there, but the drive is a straight shot. He spent the break staying up ridiculous hours and destroying his sleep pattern, as teenagers are prone to do. Last night I reminded him to go to bed at a decent time because school was starting. This morning I realized he was not up when he should have been. So I called and woke him up. He sounded so tired and out of it. But he got up, showered, and we left for school. He spends the ride in the back seat, nodding off and yawning while leaving product all over my window. I dropped him outside of the school and started driving back home. Because of the way his school is set up, I may or may not see other parents or kids when I drop him off. But everything was normal. Same crap, different year. I get about 8 miles down the road and realize he is calling me. The sound was down on my phone, so it took a minute, and by the time I answered, it had disconnected. So I call him back. I figure his glasses are in the car or something. He said I needed to come back. I ask why, ready to lecture him on responsibility. Turns out, school starts tomorrow, and he had called me 3 times. He was standing out there about 20 minutes before I got back. Our next post is by Meatshell. Today I effed up by forgetting to board my flight after checking in and went through TSA. Disclaimer, this happened 2 years ago. In 2022 I had a flight going from New York to California. I went to the airport 2.5 hours before the flight and checked in my big luggage. I went through TSA and headed to the gate waiting for boarding. It was Delta Airline. Some notes to justify my stupidity, it really doesn't. I am not an American, and in my home country if someone checked in with the airline but hasn't boarded yet, the staff will announce the passenger's name through the speakers, even for domestic flights. This is not the norm in the US, I know. However, I also know that for most airlines in the US, when boarding starts, people will still have to line up into long-ass lines, and usually, this is the cue for me to start prepping and get in line. The problem is, Delta doesn't work the same way. Once they announce that the boarding begins, anyone can come to board, after the priority group. Because of this, while I was sitting with my back facing the gate, stupid mistake number 1, I didn't see any line of people forming. I also missed the boarding announcement, stupid mistake number 2. I kept glancing back, but I still saw no one in line, so I was assuming it just wasn't my turn yet, stupid mistake number 3. In the meantime, I was also chatting with my friends online and generally just goofing around. 10 minutes until the flight took off, I realized something is wrong because no way in hell they haven't started boarding yet. I went and checked, and all of the staff were gone, and the door to the airplane was closed. I was super panicked, and asked the janitor nearby, and she said the plane will not admit any more passenger at this time. My heart dropped to the floor because this was one of the dumbest crap I have ever done, and I couldn't believe it. I went and asked Delta's help desk for help, to see if I can get the next flight, but there was none until the next day. It was 8 p.m. and the next flight is 6 a.m. And I still had to pay for it myself because not boarding was my mistake. In the end, I had to get out of JFK, bought another ticket in LaGuardia, and wait in LaGuardia until 6 a.m. to get in another flight while my checked luggage was having a trip to Canada without me. Our next post is by Shuppet. Today I effed up by washing my clothes in fabric softener for 6 months. I'll preface this by saying it has not been a good day overall, but this was the last straw. 6-ish months ago, I bought what I thought was a large bottle of laundry detergent. I got it from Ollie's, for those who haven't been to one. It's a discount store with very random items for all of $5, and maybe that should have been my first warning. But of course, I think nothing of its cheapness and set to work using it. Life got rough, lost a job, and mental health issues meant that I never thought twice about my purchase, even when I started feeling a film on all of my clothes. I have ASD. So I figured the filmy feeling wasn't actually a big deal, and I was just noticing it more than most, and I was probably just using too much soap, so I tried to more diligent in measuring when I ran my laundry. No luck, but I just figured I'd buy a different brand whenever I ran out, and that this one wasn't great. It's Downy for reference. I've been dog sitting, and said dog peed on my floor a few times, so I borrowed a carpet cleaner from my sister once the dog was picked up. She brought it over and was helping me set it up, which includes adding in a little bit of laundry soap. I pull out the bottle, she sees the pink cap and goes, "No, that fabric softener." I argue that there's no way. I've been using it for months, I would know if it was fabric softener. We start looking at the bottle, and in the smallest words ever, it says laundry softener. No big lettering, no other labeling. Nada. So, turns out I've been using fabric softener to wash my clothes, and only fabric softener. Now I have to go buy some actual laundry detergent and wash everything I own. Our next post is by Stellroom. Today I effed up by sleep texting my ex after years of zero contact. We broke up on good but sad terms many years ago. A modern classic case of my really not wanting to make children, and her really wanting to. It's pretty essential, but nonetheless the only thing that came between us. Because of that, we found it really difficult to move on and see others in a respectfully serious way. We also couldn't stop hooking up again and again whenever we were both single. After several years, we realized that unfortunately, absolutely zero contact and no following each other on any social media seemed the only way to move on. And so we did for the entirety of 2022 and 2023. It seemed to kind of work and paved the way towards dating without the inappropriate risk of regarding someone as second best. Then came last night. It must have been some kind of hypnagogic hallucination where you're somewhat awake but still dreaming. I was totally convinced I was at my ex's place. My bedroom even looked like hers, and I had somehow forgotten we're not together anymore. The only thing that seemed off was that I couldn't find her anywhere, and it worried me. Waking up this morning, I remembered it as just a normal dream, although I felt a little dizzy and disoriented. I looked at my phone and saw her message saying, "Are you okay?" Then I discovered this was a reply to my own message to her in the middle of last night. "Is everything okay? I can't see you anywhere. Love you." When we both managed to figure out what must have happened, we laughed. Then it gave her the feels. Then I got the feels. Then we realized we already started bonding over being sad about it. Since we're both dating, we decided to leave it at that and resume zero contact ASAP. A bit late. My cheeks are still red as I'm writing this, and I'm fighting to get all the kinds of unwanted hormones out of my head. Edit. Some have questions about the disagreement in having kids. It's not that I didn't want to have them personally. It was an ethical choice. My not meeting the minimal qualities I think a father should have. Too little certainty about the world's future for my child to grow up in healthily and happily. And I firmly believe that a future child's well-being is more important than the fulfillment of their parents. Also today, I effed up while literally unconscious, and you can't control how you feel. But to just like that start actively reconsidering things with an ex based on this event would be disrespectful. We made our decision and still believe in it. Having continued when one had to sacrifice a decision of this kind of magnitude would have caused actual resentment on the long run. So it's best for both to be happy with a person with similar life choices. We also never believed we're destined or anything. It's plain biology at work, but yeah, admittedly a little more stubborn than I would have liked. I've always had crappy sleep quality with apnea, nightmares, and sleep paralysis. This was a new one though, and it still weirds me out how brains can just glitch like that. Never deleted her number simply because I never felt the need to. Stopping all contact was sad but didn't require tremendous willpower or anything. Thank you for listening to the Reddit Chronicles. Follow for more content.